Hello, I'm PhocusWire Editor-in-Chief Mitra Sorrells, and I am joined by Kevin White. He is Vice President of Travel Industries at Mastercard. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Mitra. Nice to be here.
So, Kevin, let's talk about what Mastercard is seeing across the travel industry. What trends are driving B2B payment strategies today?
So I think there's been a significant highlighting on the negative impacts of manual payment processes such as wire bank transfers in the travel sector. And it really goes without saying that organizations at the heart of the sector really require, faster recovery and sustainable growth. And, there's lots of economies around the world that require tourism in their countries. So, essentially they're really looking forward to that growth moving forward. So what we've seen is really a increased focus on the specific areas which are really preventing this recovery and growth. And for example, things such as longer settlement periods, cumbersome administrative processes, and really the lack of financial protection for both themselves and their consumers. I think also this kind of negative impact and focus on areas has increased awareness of the manual payments processes. Some of the processes out there today are over 50 years old and they just can't stand up to, crisis. So there's a real focus to look at new kind of digital ways of providing better payments moving forward.
Yes, certainly things have advanced a lot in 50 years, so that would definitely be a holdup for sure. What are some of the shifts in mindset that you are hearing about from your partners, the airlines, hotels, intermediaries?
So I think there's really a mindset shift in the focus on the indirect booking models. So historically, what we've seen are hotels, airlines, and other travel suppliers really putting the focus on the direct kind of booking channel. But what we're seeing now is the evidence of the indirect booking channel really understanding of the value that this is creating in the whole ecosystem. So we've seen some studies that I recently read that US domestic travelers were found to be 57% more likely to book through a travel agent rather than going direct. And this really was focused on the kind of millennials and the Generation X travelers. So it's a real kind of shift of mindset that, booking via a travel agency does provide quite a lot of value.
And then what does that shift mean for travel suppliers and experience providers?
So I think if you bear in mind that approximately 40% of the global travel space is owned by travel agencies and online travel agencies, it's that realization that these companies and entities are critical for growth moving forward. So if you think about the OTA market, they're anticipated to generate $1.5 trillion by 2027. So it's really about embracing the indirect channel and the relationships with the online travel agencies. I think that, airlines, hotels, other travel suppliers can really leverage the value that they bring to the whole ecosystem. If you think about maybe a geographical footprint, so you might have an airline that's strong in one particular country, but maybe not in another region, they can really leverage that global footprint. But also, the efforts that these companies make from, a marketing perspective when they do consumer campaigns, it's really, the value that they bring to the ecosystem.
So that is the indirect model, but within that, there are different payment strategies. Can you tell us about what's happening with the merchant of record model?
Sure. So if you think about the indirect model and then the payment models that sit in the indirect model, merchant of record is one of the payment models here, but there's also something called the pass-through model. So in the indirect channel, in the past, there has been what we call the pass-through model. So this is when the consumer books through a travel agency and that travel agency passes the payment through to the end supplier. And it could be many suppliers. It could be an airline plus a hotel plus a transfer, car rental, whatever the package they had booked. And so, those entities or the customers would see the supplier on their bank statement rather than the travel agency, for example. So this has really created, some friction in the ecosystem, because as the network of suppliers has grown, it means that there's more and more optionality, and then it becomes more and more riskier and cumbersome for both the travel agency and the traveler. So this is why we've really seen that a lot of travel agencies today are adopting the merchant of record model, and the merchant of record model essentially is the travel agency taking the consumer payment and then processing that payment, and then generating secondary B2B payments to the airline, hotel, car rental company, whoever they may be. So that this enables basically, a better experience for the customer, and also provides optionality. So, there's a multitude of payment options, such as buy now, pay later, and also local payment methods, depending on the geography, that travel agencies can offer, which might not be available from a travel supplier's perspective. We've seen quite, a migration of the pass-through model being quite huge. So, travel agencies acting as merchant of record, we've seen a 43% compound annual growth rate, which is twice as high as the growth rate of the overall OTA market, which is around 20%.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So what technologies then support that merchant of record model, and who benefits from that approach?
So I think in order to reap the entire benefits of for the travel sector, there first needs to be the digitization of B2B payments, but that needs to be coupled with virtual card technology. And that virtual card technology is really the driving force here, and the essential next step. If we consider virtual cards in themselves, or VCNs, people may have heard them as, these are digitally generated card numbers, PCI compliant, single-use cards that are accepted everywhere that traditional payment cards are accepted. On top of this, both travel agencies and suppliers can benefit from virtual cards, such as the flexible pricing options, financing options, and also card payment guarantees. So just going back to your question, I think if you think about the benefits, or who benefits from this, it's the whole ecosystem that benefits across, I would say, 3 core areas, which are financial protection, enhanced cash flow, and greater flexibility and control.
Okay. So, of course, at the heart of all of these strategies are the travelers themselves. Can you briefly just touch on what this means for them?
So in the end, for consumers, it means a better customer experience, increased optionality, and better protection overall, and ultimately, peace of mind.
Okay. And then what advice do you have for travel suppliers and intermediaries on what they should be keeping in mind when considering a payment strategy?
So here, I think there are probably 3 different areas. So, number 1, payments matter from, the top to the bottom line. B2B payments should be top and kind of core of the business strategy that supports the overall objective of the organization. If payments are a pure kind of endpoint, then there's a missed opportunity. Okay. Secondly, I would say that not all virtual card solutions are created the same. So what we've done at Mastercard is we've taken the proven virtual card technology and created what we call the Mastercard Wholesale Program. So this program is both flexible and dynamic the way it's designed, and it responds to the industry needs. So we started quite some time ago with this program, and the program has evolved over time based on customer feedback, industry feedback, and it really does fit the needs of organizations today. But then lastly, I would say the power of partnerships. So if you think about the travel ecosystem, it's really never been more connected. And I would say that the future and the health of the industry relies on mutual growth. And any B2B payment strategy should really, support flexible products, services that enable those partnerships between, whether it's the travel agency, the airline, hotel, and other technology providers as well.
It's interesting, that piece about partnership and collaboration is certainly a theme that we have been talking about and hearing about quite a bit as we've come through the pandemic and now moving ahead into the future. So as we're wrapping up, we have certainly covered quite a bit. Do you have a final message that you would like to share on this topic?
Sure. So I think I would say there's so much to be optimistic about for the future, with opportunities for all stakeholders in the whole travel ecosystem. So, we've seen that the travel industry is bouncing back, thankfully, but there's no secret that specific areas like Asia Pacific, for example, are still on that recovery journey, which is why, the partnerships piece and collaboration and really thinking about strategies really does make a difference when supporting those specific regions coming back. And just picking up on your point, Mitra, on partnerships, I think at Mastercard here, we're passionate about partnerships. So if you're a travel merchant, airline, acquirer, payments partner, reach out to me and the team, and we can discuss your strategies moving forward.
Wonderful. Well, some really great information there for everyone. Kevin White from Mastercard, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.